Hey guys, how's it going? This is Jared with California Aqua Pros, Greg right here, and Carlos. We are here in Jupiter, Florida today for an awesome new aquascape build. We're building a river for otters and a pond for bears. So you're going to see a lot of new footage coming through here for this project, and we are excited to get started.
So the first day that we showed up, we went straight from the airport to the hotel, got our stuff kind of put away, and then right to the sanctuary. We got to see a bunch of different animals. There's all new stuff there. They had just recently moved their location from one other location. So everything there was like brand new and really cool to look at. We saw a lot of birds and some of the other animals. Some of the animals were put away because we were gonna be there and start the next day. So they had already kind of, put some of the animals that would be more reactive to what we're doing. They put those away. But we did get to see, like, there was a reptile room. We saw some alligators in there and a bunch of really cool snakes. Carlos and I walked through that together, and then we also saw some birds and raccoons and some other animals. So that was really cool.
So day one, I worked mostly on the bear pond, but looks like they were kind of working at about the same pace. The Otter Pond got done a little bit sooner than the bear pond, but we pretty much had a majority of the pond rocked, most of the woodwork done that we wanted to have done for the steps in the bear pond, and then day two we worked on the waterfall for the bear pond, and then finalizing doing all the touch-ups along the edges.
One of the big problems there was the cages. So the enclosure is pretty large for the bears and the otters, but we have to get an excavator in there. So there was some difficulty with that, and it was you had to be very, very careful with the way that you were operating. So Aquascape, before we actually got there, they took care of all of the excavation and laid down some of the liner and some of the other things, just the initial prep. Hadn't placed any rocks or anything like that, but got most of the work done with the excavators in there, just because there's like 30 different contractors there, so someone's always kind of in the way. And when you're maneuvering a big machine like an excavator, for the excavation specifically, it becomes difficult. When you're using the excavator just to place a rock or something like that, you can go real slow and be real careful. There's not really a problem there, but they wanted to get the excavation done right away and get us prepped so that we can hit the ground running right when we get there.
That's correct. Oh, cool.
So right now they are discussing what big rock is going to be kind of the focal point here. We've got all these logs coming together. I'll show you in a minute. And we're just trying to get the most perfect rock for when people are walking by and they take a glance and they look over here, that it really stands out and looks good. Had a blast so far. I've been bouncing back and forth between the otter and the bear exhibit just to try to soak up as much knowledge as possible. But I've had an awesome time so far. Met a lot of really cool people, and I've already learned a lot.
We are literally like within 45 minutes of this thing being done, and then we can go help Ed, because I think he's got maybe an hour and a half. So here we go, almost ready to release the otters.
The Otter Pond was pretty amazing. They actually had almost an entire tree that was coming down off the stream / waterfall and then down into the pond. And I think it's going to be a great place for the otters to play and have a great time in. And they used a lot of wood in both of these projects, the bear and the Otter Pond. But the bear pond, they used them as the steps getting down into the pond to make it easier for the bears. In talking with Ed, realized that the wood actually gets preserved underwater, and it becomes a cultivating place for different microorganisms that help to make the pond more vibrant and clearer, cleaner. So it was pretty interesting to talk with Ed about it. Of course, Ed, the scientist, the ever-loving scientist, was very interesting.
So Ed Ballou, he led the bear enclosure build, and Brian led the otter build. There was many different, staff and employees that were working at the wildlife center that would help us out, like take out trash or do things, anything that they could. And actually, I got a behind the scenes look at the bears. Carlos and I did. We were talking to one of the staff that works there, and she offered to have us walk back there and meet the bears and feed them peanuts, which was really, really crazy. They're deceptively cute. So it was a very nerve-wracking, but then once you feed them, it's like they're just big dogs, But those were the people that we were working with the most. There was a lot of people from Florida, a lot of other contractors from Florida. Anytime that Aquascape does a build in a state near you, you definitely should go and check it out. There's so much to learn there. And we just happened to have the time available and the weather permitting for us to go at this time and go all the way out to Florida. But it was a blast. I think we're gonna definitely do it more in the future, and yeah.
Yeah, as we got to the end, you could kind of see the excitement and kind of the aha moments happening as the waterfalls were turning on, and everybody standing around, even inside as well as outside the cages, just watching those waterfalls come on was pretty exciting. It was fun to watch the looks on everybody's faces as it was turning on, and you could just imagine the bears and the otters enjoying it. And it wasn't until, because we had stayed a few extra days, it wasn't until a couple days later that we stopped by the wildlife sanctuary, Bush Wildlife Sanctuary, and was able to actually see the otters swimming in and out of the pond, jumping in and out, just having a great time in it. And so that was awesome. The bears weren't enjoying the pond yet, but that was expected. They were probably going to take some time before they were going to be able to enjoy it.
I know Greg really likes working with the wildlife sanctuaries. He had done that before in a previous Aquascape build. And really, I know he loves the camaraderie that happens when we do any sort of work travel like this, like when we're in hotels and going to restaurants together, and of course at the build together. All those things really build a good culture and camaraderie amongst the team members. But let me just go get him. I bet he could answer it better than me.
So we really enjoyed as a team. There was 3 of us from our company that went, but we really enjoyed giving back to a nonprofit organization, and I think we're going to really look at doing more of that in the future. I would recommend that for anybody that gets a chance to do some of these Aquascape builds, especially for nonprofit places that are really trying to rehabilitate animals or reptiles or whatever it is. It is a very gratifying experience, and we'll definitely be doing it in the future.
We're here at Jupiter, Florida, Bush Gardens Wildlife Preserve. We did the bear exhibit and the otter exhibit. You can see here, this is the BOF Fall 6000. We put a bunch of logs for steps going down into the pond. They are kind of docile bears, only about 300 pounds a piece. There's 2 of them, black bears, Florida black bears. We had to put some things on top of this. So you can see there's a grate here, and had to bolt down all of these logs. So if they started messing with them, rebar in to hold the logs down, a grate on top. Even put a concrete on top of the vault just to make sure that they can't mess with the the features here that actually makes the system work. This has a 6,000 biofalls, an intake bay, basic pond really that you see in somebody's backyard. They did put concrete cloth down in order to harden up and so that their claws couldn't tear through the line.